All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another GoDaddy Pro meetup. My name is Marcus Burnett. I hope you're having a good week so far. Today, we get the pleasure of hearing from someone who is a genuine WooCommerce expert, and we'll be sharing about how you can sell your learning courses online using WooCommerce. Angela Blake is joining me today, and she is one of the product managers here at GoDaddy. Welcome to the meetup, Angela. How are you doing today?
Hey Marcus, I'm doing great and glad to be here. Super excited to talk about e-learning specifically because I use online courses myself all the time. So
Yeah, I feel like just a few years ago, it was like, oh, every now and then you come across someone who'd done some online courses or studied their craft online, and now I feel like it's pretty commonplace to be learning things online. So yeah, I'm excited to hear more about how to get that kind of stuff set up. I'm gonna ask some folks in the chat in just a little bit, but where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Iowa,
From Iowa. Nice. Yeah.
in the
If
middle of
you're
the
hanging
country.
out with us in the chat at the moment, feel free to drop in where you're joining us from today too. Before we get started, I'm sure you'll probably hit on this a little bit, but would you mind just telling people a little bit about what you do as a product manager here at GoDaddy?
Yeah, so I work with our managed WordPress e-commerce product. So that's our managed WordPress hosting that includes WooCommerce and a bunch of premium extensions for free. Some of them are WooCommerce extensions by brand, and others are SkyVerge extensions. And we sort of decide what features to build out next, if we need to build new products, or what we need to integrate with to serve our customers' needs. So it's been really fun for that.
That's awesome. I have of course, a special place in my heart for all the SkyVerge things, since that
Yeah.
came to GoDaddy as well through the SkyVerge acquisition. So that's awesome. Before I turn things over to you, Angela, just a couple of quick notes for those that are joining us here at the event. We'll have Q&A time at the end, so I'll be kind of floating around in the background, and I'll be hanging out in the chat. So if anybody has any questions for Angela about learning management systems, WooCommerce, or anything that we have going on the e-commerce side here at GoDaddy, please do toss those in the chat, and we'll have some time at the end to look at those. And also, this is being recorded, so if you need to hop out early or if you want to share this with your team afterwards, we will have a link to this this whole session. It'll get uploaded to our GoDaddy Pro YouTube channel, and then a link will be shared to the email address that you used to sign up for this event. So be on the lookout for that as well. Okay, I'm not going to make folks wait any longer, so I'm going to pop out of the way and let you tell us a bit more about selling courses with WooCommerce.
Awesome. So if everyone would just give me a moment, I need to share my, and I'm going to forewarn you that my system has been moving a little. So
Oh, looks like you cut out there just a tiny bit.
out of the way here. Thanks for bearing with me.
No worries.
Yeah, those lovely tech issues that we still have to go through. All, and I should be almost there, so let me know when you can see it.
There we go. Yep.
Perfect. I was going to say, at least it tells me it's showing.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to go ahead and go camera as well to save some bandwidth, and then focus on these slides a little bit and not have me dragging in and out. Okay, so as Marcus mentioned, we're going to be talking about selling your courses online with WooCommerce. Since it's open source WordPress stuff, a lot of extensions, a lot of different options that you can use to sell online with that. I found this funny little meme here from Star Wars, so you can look at that for a second. But it entertained me a little bit. What we're going to cover today is going to be a little bit about the trends in the e-learning space. We're going to talk about how to set up an e-learning site with WooCommerce, and then some of the strategies you can use to make that a successful endeavor. We're going to spend a little bit of time on Q&A as well. I've already introduced myself, but hi, I'm who has joined after I made my introduction. I'm a product manager with GoDaddy, and this is a fun little picture of me at a Renaissance festival, just for fun. So just taking a look at a few stats here, why would you even want to start an e-learning site or publish some online courses? The market for these has been growing steadily for a while, but the pandemic kind of made that take off quite a bit. Estimated that the global market is going to increase to 337 billion by 2026. So that's obviously a huge amount. So there's a huge opportunity there to be providing these online courses, or someone who builds sites for other people to help them provide these online courses. During the pandemic, we were seeing a lot of people wanting to homeschool, or a lot of people having to find at-home alternatives to the learning solutions that they were used to. And that hasn't gone away. So with the e-learning growing upwards of 36% in 2020, I don't have a number of what it's currently at, but a lot of people are continuing to want to stay home, because then they can learn at their own pace online. There are a lot of options for learning at your own pace that aren't necessarily strict as far as timeline goes. They like that flexibility, being able to learn on the side, or people who are still choosing to keep their kids in homeschool, partly because the pandemic is still a thing, even though it has slowed down a bit. Or for other various reasons, maybe they enjoyed it. We're seeing a lot of massive open online course sites, which we looks for short, seeing traffic increase as well. I'm going to present you a few downsides of this market as well, but just on the surface, it's a really good opportunity, and a lot of people are wanting to take advantage of it for various reasons, not just K-12, but also business and corporate upskilling, career changes, things like that. So if you are selling sites to other people, selling the service of building sites to other people, it's also increasing the market opportunity for you there as well, because a lot of people are not going to know how to create their own sites for this purpose. Just waiting for my slide to change. Okay. So like I said, there are some challenges. One of the biggest things is that with the market being kind of full of a lot of different options for learning online, it can be really competitive and hard to differentiate yourself from other services. Like I mentioned before, there are those massive sites that you might be used to, like Coursera and Udemy. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but there's a lot of competition out there already. So whether you're building a site with courses for yourself or building it for someone else, one of the things you're going to have to worry about is how you stand out in the crowd. There's also a kind of significant marketing cost for e-learning courses. I'm not entirely sure what all goes into marketing them, because I think it can vary per solution, what your course is for, where you might want to market that and everything, but there can be a high cost to that as well. And then when you're dealing with self-paced courses, there are studies showing that the rate of completion can be fairly low. So you might have people drop off for not completing it. You might not be able to retain customers. If they purchase one course and don't complete it, they might not come back for more. And then there's a technology difference. There are a lot of different platforms that you can build online courses on. There are a lot of different solutions, even within the WordPress and WooCommerce space. And we're going to talk about some of those in a minute. But just deciding what to use for that or how to enhance your core solution can be kind of a mess. So setting up an e-learning site in WooCommerce. The first solution that we're going to talk about is Sensei LMS. That's pretty well known because it's made by Automatic. There is a free version. It has native integrations with WooCommerce memberships and subscriptions, and you can also employ add-ons to get additional solutions there to help market your course or to keep people engaged with your course. But I set this up once myself. I will say that I haven't really used it and sold courses through it, but I found it to be a pretty easy setup. This is a really standard solution. You should be able to find a lot of help with it. So this is one of the first ones that people will gravitate toward when they're looking for an online course solution that works with WordPress. So if you're just getting started and you really need a simple solution and you've got a low budget for that, start with Sensei. Price point, we're looking at Lifter. That retail price is actually, I forgot to replace that, so I apologize for that. The thing with Lifter LMS is you can get it as a free download, but in order to really make a good use of it, you're actually going to need their add-ons. So most of their features are available through add-ons, and those add-ons, $120 a year per piece, but they also have bundle deals that you can purchase with that. And we'll go into add-ons and things like that a little bit farther down the road. But just an initial look at Lifter LMS, it's going to do the same thing for you, be able to create courses and quizzes within WordPress, just to be like your core standard solution for online courses. One of the differentiators here for Lifter LMS is that it does have a drag and drop course builder. So that makes it a lot easier for you to put your courses together. It's going to be really a lot more user-friendly than some online course options. It's also got extensive compatibility with popular themes and site builders. It touts the ability to be compatible with any well-coded theme, by the words of the website. So with that and the fact that it also has a large community and even a community of experts that can help you learn how to use it or provide services if you need a little bit of help, Lifter LMS is also a great option, especially if you have a bit larger budget or if you're someone who is creating online learning sites for other people, and you can sort of build it out in your pricing there, in your web design pricing. Okay. I thought I had the right slide there for a second. Cool. One of our options, originally with SkyVerge, but now with GoDaddy, is WooCommerce memberships. We see this in use a lot with online learning. I know when it says memberships, e-learning is probably not the first thing that you think of. You're probably thinking of communities or discounts, things like that. But a lot of people do actually use this for e-learning and online courses. It's got a lot of features, so I can't really go through all of them, but what's useful about it is that it can be used for a lot more than just online courses. So if online courses is just a portion of your business strategy for what you're trying to do with your website, then memberships is a little more versatile solution for you because it doesn't it doesn't pigeonhole you essentially into just being an online course site. It can be used for a lot of different things, especially if you're offering member-specific benefits or if you want to sell to teams. With the Teams extension, you can do that. It also has drip content and email members. So there are a lot of different things you can do with this that aren't specific to online courses, but work with online courses as well. So this is a little more comprehensive strategy for that. You're also going to see WooCommerce subscriptions a lot. A lot of online courses are sold as subscriptions, which makes sense. I mean, you can market your course one of different ways. can either have, a one-time payment for one course, or you can have people subscribe and then maybe they get updates to the course, they get additional lessons, different programs like that. So you'll see subscriptions used for e-learning quite a bit as well. It's also integrated pretty deeply with memberships, so you can have members have opportunities to purchase different kinds of subscriptions, or maybe only members can purchase subscriptions, or if someone purchases a subscription, they can also have a membership. So this really opens the door to a lot of different combinations of solutions for your site there. So if you're selling courses and you have a really specific setup in mind for how you want to be able to interact with your students, then using memberships and subscriptions together could be a really good solution for you. Oh, also to mention, one of the better features of this is being able to offer free trials. A lot of people aren't ready to commit to buy right out of the gate. They kind of want to taste first. So a free trial is a good solution for that as well. So we're going to talk about some WooCommerce extensions for e-learning, because when we talk about the completion rate for online courses being so low, a lot of that has to do with engagement. So one of the things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to keep your students engaged with the course. And it can be really hard to do that, but there are a lot of different strategies. So some of these extensions will help with that, and that's how you're going to differentiate yourself in the market. When the first one we talked about was Sensei LMS. It has sort of a small array of different add-ons that are kind of essential online course solutions. So we've talked about content drip. I've mentioned it a couple different times, where you'll drip content over a period of time. So it's basically exactly what it sounds like. But let's say you have someone who purchases a course and you only want them to access one lesson per week. You can set up something like that with this Sensei LMS extension for content drip. Or if you want them to be able to track their course progress, you want to share grades or provide certificates, a lot of those incentives are things that can keep students engaged and can make your course more valuable. Sensei LMS has some add-ons that can cover that, and Lifter LMS has add-ons to cover that as well. So I would say Lifter LMS is a solution that has a lot more versatility and like advanced extensions available to you. A lot of their extensions are going to make it more compatible with other tools you might use, from themes to marketing tools to website builders, payment options, just different things that you might want to do, that you might want to use outside of online course. You might already have a theme that you like to use or a builder that you like to use, and this is going to make all of that work together so that you can build your site and run your business how you want to without being limited by what your online course solution will integrate with, because they just have a ton of options for that. So I was probably going a little too far in depth here anyway, but yeah, the long story short with Lifter LMS is that you want to look at the bundles for their add-ons, and also look out for the add-on options that they have for priority support or those webinars where you can get specialized help with Lifter LMS, because that's something that separates them from the rest of the pack as far as solutions goes. So we're going to move on from that one.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to drop back out, but I did leave a note in the chat that we did have Chris Badgett from Lifter LMS on the show last week. So if anyone is interested in learning a bit more about Lifter LMS, and I think he left a promo code there as well, they can check out last week's event. All right, I'm headed back out in the background. Continue.
Thanks, Marcus. Yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity. I might have to check that out for myself, because I was kind of wanting to use Lifter LMS. I thought that would be neat. All right, so back to keeping your students engaged with the courses so that they have a higher completion rate, come back for more, purchase more courses. You can get more customers this way. We're going to talk about gamification a little bit. I'm not sure if it's GamiPress or GamiPress, how you pronounce this. Don't ask me, I'm terrible at pronouncing things. But if you want to add some gamification to Sensei LMS or LearnDash, we didn't really discuss LearnDash. You can also use this with Lifter LMS. GamePress has it works pretty well with just about any solution because that's what it does. That's its purpose. If you want to incentivize people to complete their courses and just sort of make it a little more fun to do some learning, check this one out. You can add that to any of your core solutions like Sensei LMS or Lifter LMS, just to add a little bit extra incentive for people to want to complete those. You can also host live classes. This is a huge one. It's a little bit meta because obviously we have GoDaddy Pro meetups and we have webinars and things like that at GoDaddy that not necessarily complement, online courses and things like that, but we also use it to connect a little bit better with people that we want to interact with, whether it's a potential customer or audiences, or just being out here in the community. It's really helpful. So hosting live classes can really set you apart from other people who maybe just record something and forget about it. And that's just kind of an extra thing that you can do. Sensei LMS can be used with WooCommerce memberships and a webinar extension like Zoom, the Zoom WordPress plugin to make that work. Lifter LMS, I looked into them a little bit and they don't really have an integration for this one, interestingly, but they did say in their help articles that you can add a meeting link anywhere to any page. You can do it within your students' dashboards or within a course, anywhere you put it, then people can join that meeting, add meeting details and add your link there, and people can join the meeting for the live class as well. One tip to make that a little bit more successful is consistent start dates, use a drip schedule. So let people know what to expect. They need to know what days and times they can join. They need to have sort of a regular cadence so that if they miss one, maybe they can attend the next one, or if it's a regular series of live classes, then they know how that's going to fit into their schedule. So the important thing is to be consistent. I see a question in the chat if the presentation is being shared on screen. Yes, it is. Please let me know if other people are not seeing this presentation, but it should be on your screen. All right, so we're getting into the nitty-gritty here. We're talking about removing friction for people to sign up for and log into and use your courses. When we're talking about the WooCommerce social login, because 77% of customers prefer a social login on e-commerce sites, and e-learning, online courses, those are still e-commerce because people are going online to purchase something. They want to be able to get there through a familiar route. I personally like to be able to use my Google login with just about everything. And so providing that to your customers makes it even easier for them to start and continue using your courses. That way they don't have to remember a whole separate login and they can just get to it pretty easily there. There are a lot of different options with the social login plugin. You can log in with Facebook or Google. Twitter, those are sort of the top ones, but you can even log in with Amazon or LinkedIn. I was just speaking with an online course creator today when I was doing a customer feedback interview, and he said that he gets a lot of his leads and a lot of his customers through LinkedIn. So it really makes sense that they would also maybe want to be able to log into his course through LinkedIn. I don't think he's using social login yet. I didn't end up speaking to him about that specific aspect, but just thinking about how people get to your courses, what other software they or sites that they might associate the courses with, you can make it a lot easier for them to use your courses by making connections there. Okay, we've got a couple people who are not able to see the presentation and some people who can. For those who maybe just recently joined or who just started watching the live stream, we did have a brief tech issue where I dropped. I don't know if anybody else ended up getting dropped, but I had to come back on and reshare my slides. They are now being shared and should be showing. So as long as you refresh, that should work for you. Okay, product reviews. So it's really important on any site to have some sort of authenticity, some sort of something that vouches for the quality. A lot of people want to make their purchase decision based on whether someone they know or even just other people online enjoyed the product. I use Amazon reviews all the time to make sure that I don't order something from Amazon that is just going to be junk. So you want to do the same thing with your online courses and make sure that they can see a review. It's also a good thing to ask prior students to review, even if you've had an online course site already established and you're only just now adding Product Reviews Pro. Maybe send an invite to some of your past students to see if they want to go on and leave a little bit of a review for you, just so that other potential students know that your courses will do the job and provide them with the knowledge that they're looking for. Social proof is so important for competing out there. We mentioned before that it is a competitive atmosphere. There are a lot of e-learning solutions, a lot of people selling online courses out there. So to set yourself apart, you want to make sure you let people know what kind of quality you're providing and that other people have gotten what they needed out of your course. So for further marketing of online courses, you might look at an affiliate solution. A lot of people will find that referral is the best source of future customers. I was again talking about that with a customer when we were discussing his online courses today. He said that a lot of his new students come from referral as well. So he has a solution in place to reward people who refer new students to him. Affiliate for WooCommerce is a good solution for that because you can track the sales, visitors, commissions, different things like that, and make sure that it's actually a profitable and successful way to get new students to your courses, or to get new students to your clients' courses if you're building sites for them as well. So providing some sort of incentive for people to refer others to your courses can be a really successful solution too, and you might want to check that one out. So cart add-ons might not be an obvious solution, but what it'll do for you is it'll let people see what else they might want to purchase with that course. If you sell an online course and you also sell a book that is sort of a companion to that course or might be required to that course, cart add-ons can let people see that they might want or need to purchase that together. Or if you have courses that are related, let's say you sell a JavaScript course and you sell a Python course, and you want people to understand that those might be related to each other in some way, or that they are both needed to sort of round out some sort of developer path there, then you can suggest those to your customers in the cart. So as they're purchasing one, they can see the other might be a good option for them as well. Don't forget about WooCommerce Google Analytics Pro. It's really important to monitor your site traffic so you understand where your customers are going, what they're doing on your site, what's converting, keeping track of sales by product. All of those things are critical for your business strategy and improving your customer relationships. You can look for issues in flows, where they might be having trouble from getting from one point to another on your site, and funnels, just to make sure that those are working properly. you've reduced friction as much as possible to purchase point, and that everything is working as it should. One note on Google Analytics Pro is that it will be supporting GA4 soon. I can't give you an exact date on that, but that's a question we get a lot. And yes, that is planned. So we've come to the end here, and we've got Q&A time available. If you have any questions now, you can go ahead and submit them in the chat. Marcus and I are going to stick around and see what you have to say. If anything that I said on these slides was unclear or needs more information, let me know. If you have any questions about GoDaddy or WordPress or anything, throw it out there.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Angela, for sharing all those things. There's a lot of information in there, a lot of just like scratching the surface of a bunch of things, because a lot of those, especially the learning management platforms, but then you get into analytics and all that stuff. There's definitely like a whole, the giant iceberg underneath the water of things that you can continue to do and pile on and add and settings and all that stuff. But yeah, definitely gives everyone a good place to start. I did ask for some questions in the chat, and I'll let some people think about that. I do have a couple of questions that I kind of gathered ahead of time, so we'll start with those while people think about what they might want to ask over in the chat area. You talked a little bit about subscriptions and memberships at the top, and I was just curious if you had any advice or recommendations on going like subscriptions and memberships versus an LMS platform. Like, should you go one or the other, or together, or just what do people need to consider when going maybe one direction or the other, or needing all of those together?
Oh, that is a good question, because I think it really depends on the individual person's situation where they would want to go with one versus the other. I'm going to say start out with an LMS just to kind of get an idea of what course structure would look like, because, and here's the reason, I don't mean to point people away from our SkyVerge favorites by any means, but
Sure.
but when you're using memberships and subscriptions, it's like I mentioned earlier, when it's not specific to online courses, if you haven't built an online course site before and you haven't designed that flow and how it will look to your students going through that process, you might need a little bit more guidance and structure on how that looks. The LMS systems are going to have that sort of out of the box. So when you're looking for more customization, you want a little more control over how you have things set up. That's when you're going to want to look at memberships and subscriptions.
Nice. I do have another one, but we do have a couple of questions coming in the chat, so I'll start with those. John asks, what is your good, better, best, not just one versus the other? I'm going to guess that John is asking about the learning management software platforms.
Oh boy. Why are you asking me to rate these? It's more of a which is the best tool for the job, I think, which is why I've approached it as one versus the other. But if we're going to say good, better, best, I think we have to form two categories for that. And I would say Sensei LMS is good, but Lifter LMS is better. But you have to keep the higher price point in mind for that. And then on the other side, when we're talking about memberships and subscriptions, I would say good is subscriptions, better is memberships, and best is subscriptions and memberships together.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I so commonly see subscriptions and memberships together that sometimes I'm taken aback when people are using one or the other separately. That I'm like, oh, they just, in my mind, naturally are almost always used together. The LMS platforms too, I agree with you. Like, it kind of depends on what you're doing. You talked about the price point and stuff too. I had Chris on from Lifter LMS last week, and Lifter LMS itself without the add-ons is in fact free to download from WordPress.org. So
Yep.
although a lot of people do go the route of purchasing add-ons, he said that there are folks that just use the free plugin and they get a free YouTube account and they record their courses and post them unlisted on YouTube and put them into their courses in Lifter LMS and essentially use most of Lifter LMS's features for free. So I think it just depends. Some of them are a little bit more robust, like you said. Maybe Sensei is good and Lifter is a bit more fully featured. So it's just a matter of figuring out, where the courses are going, how complex they're going to be with quizzes and tests and gamification and all that stuff to determine what you actually need in a learning management platform. Angelita asked in the chat, how does WooCommerce Google Analytics Pro differ from Google Analytics? I'm guessing the two different plugins.
Yeah, just to step back a second, I feel like I need to go back and find last week's meetup because I did not get to attend that one and I haven't watched it. And I haven't used the free version of Lifter LMS. So now at this point, I feel like I didn't do it justice. So I'm going to have to go back and watch that and maybe download it and check it out by itself without add-ons and see what we've got going on there, because I certainly don't want to disparage someone who took the time to talk to us. But yeah, for sure. That sounds really neat. So I'm going to check that out. But yeah, Google Analytics Pro versus Google Analytics. Honestly, I know that Pro has more features, but I don't remember which features it has that Google Analytics does. I'm not going to do a very good job of answering this question. I apologize.
Yeah,
I do think I think Google Analytics beat us to GA4.
Yeah, I don't know if the question is specifically regular Google Analytics versus Pro, or whether it's the determiner of it being specific to WooCommerce, because the question is WooCommerce Google Analytics Pro versus like maybe the regular Google Analytics plugin. Is there a reason why you'd want to go with one that's maybe more WooCommerce specific than just general to Google Analytics in general for your WordPress site?
I'm probably going to speak in ignorance here, but a WooCommerce specific one is most likely going to do a better job of tracking your online sales and cart events and things like that than the regular Google Analytics. But I could be wrong, so somebody feel free to call me out if that's it.
No, I think that's right. I'm admittedly a little bit further removed from the Skyverge plugins these days than I used to be. But there are a lot of WooCommerce events that happen to track not only sales, but just people working their way through the funnel of adding a product to their cart, getting from the cart to checkout, from the checkout all the way through to conversion. And all of those things are tracked with WooCommerce Google Analytics Pro, where the Google Analytics plugin on its own is going to track maybe some like page hits or whatever, but it's not going to be as specific to the commerce side of things as the WooCommerce Google Analytics Pro plugin will be, if I remember that all correctly.
Yeah, I haven't worked with that plugin specifically in a long time. And for those of you who are familiar with Skyverge and GoDaddy, we have a lot of plugins. So I apologize for not knowing the specific details on that one, but from what I remember, that's the case, that it's more about tracking those sales than the cart events, the checkout events.
Awesome. I don't know if either of us will have a solid answer for this one, but Angelita also asked, is the Lifter LMS free version better than Sensei LMS? And I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't compared them use case to use case, apples to apples before, so I can't give a very good answer on that. But from what I read for their specs and their features and everything, they were pretty comparable. So since they are both free, then it's just about experimenting and seeing if one or the other maybe is easier for you to use. Maybe you like the way it's set up better, or the way the options are, or the way the options work are better for you, or maybe one or the other of them works better for the type of course or the business goals that you have. So that's going to be all experimentation.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a note here and see if I can find a Sensei versus Lifter, Learn Dash, any of them comparison
Oh yeah.
before. I will add a link to our notes when this gets shared out as well.
Yeah, this morning I was thinking to myself, you know what people are going to want? They're probably going to want a comparison guide, and I did not have time to search for a reputable one. The problem with that can be
Yeah,
that like so many are published by course creator softwares themselves, so
yeah,
then they're going to show themselves in
might
the
be a
best
little
light.
biased.
Yeah, a little biased. You know, I think we all are when we publish those comparison guides. We want to look good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, John followed up. So, also, I already have some online courses. Are any of the ones talked about today better to convert other platforms, or is it generally a start from scratch?
Oh, you mean like migrating from another platform onto one of these solutions?
Hmm.
So oh man, you guys are coming with the good questions today. It depends on your platform, I would say. If you're already on WordPress and you already have products set up, I think that each of the digging into WordPress a little bit in WooCommerce, we're always going to be talking about them being set up as a product or as a custom post type. And I can't tell you which ones are going to do which thing and which ones are going to transfer to each other. So I think that's another thing that we would probably have to look up. Marcus, do we maybe want to set aside some time to confer on a follow-up for this to answer some of those harder questions?
Yeah, we can definitely do that and try to provide some additional links when we send out the replay link for this as well. Um, just to kind
Yeah.
of piggyback off of your answer, right? Since this is specifically about selling with WooCommerce, if you have any of them, like all of them integrate with subscriptions and memberships pretty easily. So I would
Yeah.
say that regardless of where you start with any of those, then adding the WooCommerce bit of it is not going to be overly difficult. Any more difficult than any of the other ones. I'm not aware of any like migration paths specifically from one to another, but again, we can try and figure that out and send out some additional resources.
Yeah, because I think if you're going from any other platform to a WordPress WooCommerce space, then yeah, it's going to be starting from scratch. But if you're going from one WordPress WooCommerce solution to another, that's where it gets kind of dicey, and it depends on the solution and whether or not what they're compatible with and how they're set up.
Yeah, and one of the most difficult pieces of online courses in general, I think, is just getting the content together. So if you already have online courses that are kind of ready to go, I think that's the hard part. So I think, if you needed to do a little bit of manual migration from one to the other, assuming you don't have hundreds of courses that you're trying to migrate over, then you've done the hard part by creating the course material already.
Oh yeah, that's by far. I think that's probably like 90%, 95%. And then the site itself and getting some sort of LMS solution set up is like 5 to 10% maybe.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you on that. Like most of the effort is in the course creation by far. And then keeping those up to date. It's always the problem with content.
Yeah, definitely. Angelita also asked, are there any add-ons or extensions that help generate leads?
Yeah, before I answer that, just want to say bye, John. Thanks for joining us. I see you've got to run, so wanted to call that
Yep,
out.
thanks, John.
So the one we mentioned before for generating leads is probably going to be affiliate for WooCommerce. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but both Sensei LMS and Lifter LMS, also WooCommerce memberships and subscriptions, everything should integrate pretty well with email marketing solutions. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty common for lead generation. Otherwise, like they all integrate pretty well with other social solutions like social sharing and things like that, to varying degrees, different solutions for that. So yeah, you're going to be able to find pretty much any email marketing or social add-on is probably going to help you with that. But the affiliate for WooCommerce is one that stands out to me that will help you generate leads. That is for sure going to work well with these.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend looking through the Sensei LMS and Lifter LMS or any other learning management platform that anyone decides to go with through the add-ons to see what's available. But again, because it's WooCommerce and WordPress, really anything, like you said, email marketing or social that works with WordPress and WooCommerce is going to work for selling courses as well, including when you get to WooCommerce, things like cart abandonment, plugins, or features that help bring traffic back and all that stuff, because it's tied into WooCommerce and WordPress the way that they work. That's going to automatically give you that benefit through trying to sell and the courses and all that.
Yeah, I feel so lucky that I got to talk to one of our customers just a little while before this meetup, because he was, like I said, an online seller. He was using our memberships plugin, and he told me that the biggest challenge in selling courses was lead generation. So he was of the same mind as well. The great thing about these solutions is that they know that these LMS creators, they know that that's your biggest pain point, and they're already trying to solve for that. So all of them are integrated with all kinds of marketing solutions.
Awesome. I don't see any more in the chat. I have one, maybe kind of a little bit of a wrap-up question here for you. Let's say I'm a brick and mortar business and want to add online learning to my business. Where should I start?
As a brick and mortar?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking back a couple years at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm, whatever it is, a yoga studio, and I want to add online learning. Where do I start, since I don't have anything? I've been focused solely on this business and my building, and now I want to branch out online and add online learning as a revenue stream. Where should I start with that?
Thanks for providing some context, because I was trying to come up with a scenario in my mind. I'm like, why would it? Because when I hear brick and mortar, the first thing I think is
physical goods.
So I'm like, I'm walking into a clothing store, Don't judge me.
No.
Like, why would a clothing store need an online course? I'm just not very creative minded, I guess. Yeah, so if we're talking about like when the pandemic started and maybe some of these businesses were trying to shift more toward online and e-learning for things like that, the first place I think I would start would be subscriptions and memberships for that scenario, purely because the bulk of their business is an online store e-learning. The bulk of their business is already brick and mortar. So they don't need an out-of-the-box just online learning solution. They need to add to what they're already using. They probably already have a website, or if they don't, they're probably going to want to get one up and running pretty quickly. And then solutions like membership and subscriptions will allow them to do basically whatever they want specific to their business needs. So it's like less specifically e-learning focused, and it's a little more versatile for what they might need.
Yeah, for sure. And I might just add on that just a step even further back, and just to figure out, like we talked about before, that content generation is going to be the hardest thing. So figuring out like what it is that you want to provide, what do you want to sell as far as online learning goes, and start to generate some of that content, whether it's videos or written material, and figure out like where the roadblocks are. I'm trying to share this video. What do I need for that? Oh, I need memberships so that I can wall off this page that has the video on it. Well, I want the memberships to renew monthly or yearly, so then I need to add subscriptions to that. So yeah, I think just getting started and creating some of that content and figuring out like, okay, what do I need next? But I think, yes, follows exactly what you were saying with subscriptions and memberships first. And then as things get more complex and more needs get added to that, then looking into some learning management systems.
Yeah, I skipped right over the planning and jumped straight into solutions.
No, that's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely on board with that.
Yep. Let me see. I'm gonna drop
We've got
one
one
more
more
link here in the
question if we
chat.
have time for it.
Oh yeah. While I drop this link in the chat, if you want to answer Saloni's question, Saloni asked, not related to selling courses, but selling products on WooCommerce. Is it possible to integrate WooCommerce with other e-commerce platforms like Amazon?
Yes. There are different like marketplace plugins that you can use. I think Sellbrite is one of them to integrate with other platforms like Amazon so that you can sell across platforms. This is something really exciting for us, is that we are working on a solution for that for our own hosting products in my team as well. So the managed WordPress, e-commerce, managed WooCommerce, whatever you want to call it. Stay tuned for that, because we're planning some integrations on our end too, and it can make it really easy for you, not to oversell my product here, but we're working on some built-in native solutions so that you don't have to go installing plugins and trying to figure out which is the best one and stuff. Working on that for you too.
Awesome. I just added a link in the chat for each one of these meetups has a thread over on the GoDaddy Pro community as well, so we can keep conversations going on over there. We do have a couple more minutes though, if you want to quickly look at. I'm going to probably pronounce it wrong, but Jitin asks, nowadays many online training sites provide recorded videos and part live sessions, so which LMS supports such a feature better?
So all of the solutions that we mentioned are going to provide recorded videos. Like, you'll be able to upload videos for those. We did briefly talk about hosting live classes. So that's, I'm not sure what you mean by part live sessions. If you mean that like the chat's live but the video's recorded, or what part live means exactly. But the ones we mentioned do also have ways that you could do live classes, or whatever part of that you want to be live should be pretty easy to manage within those. With Lifter LMS, it's just a meeting link. So that could be anything. Considering you can just put a link anywhere, it can be a link to anything. It can be a link to another pre-recorded video. Of course, Lifter LMS is going to have embedded video, so you don't have to worry about people having to go somewhere else for a video, but you can do just about anything with that. And then Sensei LMS had the WooCommerce memberships plus some sort of webinar extension like Zoom WordPress plugin that you can use for that as well.
Yeah, some of it comes down to just being WordPress plugins that happen to also work in the context of an LMS or WooCommerce, because they're all kind of tied together. Yeah, just to quickly add on with the video things, they all have really great video features. And I remember Chris telling me last week that, and I think the other ones have this too to some degree, but Lifter LMS has the ability to know when a video has been fully played through. So that way you don't have folks who kind of hit play and then just try to skip to the next lesson or whatever. Like, you have to watch the video all the way through, and it knows when you change off the tab to a different tab or whatever. So anyways, there are some things in place there to make sure that people are watching the videos that you have posted as well to progress through the lessons. And I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I think those advanced video features are really essential to online courses for that reason, because it's, I mean, if you wanted to just watch videos, you could go to YouTube for that.
Yeah, fair enough. That looks like it for questions. So I'll go ahead and kind of wrap us up here. We're getting close to the top of the hour anyways. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Next week, we will have a coffee chat meetup. So we'll have several folks on. I'm not entirely sure what the topic is going to be about quite yet, but that event should be posted within the next day or two here. If you wanted to register for that, that'll be next Wednesday, same time, same place here. And then in a few weeks, we'll have a buddy of ours, Bud Kraus, on to talk about full site editing, and that will be August 3rd at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And that event is posted now and ready for people to register. So for either of those, or to register for any other future events, go to events.godaddy.com to check out any of our past events, including the replays. Like last week's Lifter LMS event is already, the video replay is already up on the event site, Also, events.godaddy.com, you'll find all of those there. So be sure to check those out. Other than that, I think that's it for us today. Thanks again, Angela, for coming on and talking to us about WooCommerce and learning management systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be sure to keep that going in that chat going in the community, because we've barely scratched the surface here.
Yep. We'll try and find some of those resources for some of the Q&A answers that we didn't have, and we'll share those out in the email, and we'll also make sure that those make it over there to the community as well. So keep an eye on those. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you at the next meetup. Bye-bye, everyone.